And we're from a little Danish media called Metaladay, and it's just great you have the time to talk to us.
Okay.
It's just going to be a little low-key back and forth about...
Is that
me and
wide
Matilda.
enough, though, I'm saying, for your angle?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Be closer, or is it okay?
If you want to be closer. No, it's good.
It's our first day.
The first day.
Okay, so that is where we just... Okay.
So you're ready to roll?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you again, David. You got the time to talk to us. So how's everything going?
Great. Yeah, we've been over about a week now. Started in my fatherland of Norway, and then my motherland of Sweden and Denmark, and we were up in Helsinki the other night. So yeah, Scandinavia first, and then now we're heading into mainland Europe.
Yeah. So of course, how is it to be back in Denmark?
It's great. You know, we've never played, obviously it seems like a brand new arena, big place here.
Yeah.
So we played a lot of different places. Every time I come here, I always remember Roskilde, for sure, 1992. You know, that was the year that I guess Denmark won the World Cup, I believe, right?
The European Cup.
Yeah, the European Cup, yeah. So that was a bunch of drunken Danes running around with flags painted on their face, and so those were good times, good metal times back in those days.
Yeah, and the one and only time Nirvana played in Denmark at Roskilde with that night.
Yeah.
Kurt was like, "Congratulations with your football thing."
Yeah, it was an interesting time because I remember the Seattle bands were huge. I mean, we played, I think, the last night on Sunday, and then on Saturday was maybe Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and they were all brand new. I mean, they were the hot new thing going on. So that was for Countdown to Extinction for us. So we were enjoying a good lift in our success, and it was kind of a new frontier for us to have that kind of success and be this soon to be double platinum band in America. And yeah, it was cool. That was a big game changer year for us.
But you seem so excited about being back in Europe. But I'm wondering, you've done this like 13 plus years. Is it still the same exciting to be back in Europe and seeing the world, or is just another day at office?
No, I love it. I love traveling the world. We live in America, and Americans are weird because none of us are really from there. I mean, I guess I am because I'm born there, you know what I mean? But our heritage is always somewhere else. I mean, we're only 200 years old. We're like newbies, And for me, it's right here. I mean, this is, my father's side. Ellefson is Norwegian. My grandmother's full German on that side. And then on my mother's side, English, and there's... I believe it's Danish and Swedish on that side. So, I mean, this is my hood, from where I came from. So, but I like it. I mean, in fact, even driving over here, I was born in 1964, so I'm kind of on that border of being a baby boomer, but I definitely am a Gen Xer, if you will.
Yeah.
But then, like millennial and, the millennial, just the concept of it, and it's just driving over here and seeing new buildings. Obviously, we've all got smartphones, the internet. I mean, it's interesting in Megadeth's career and our age, I guess, to see, we started in this kind of the old guard of, I kind of look at it like we got in just under the wire when you could have a major label deal and actually make a little bit of money and be able to support yourself as a musician, but, as the jazz saying goes, you're only as good as your last gig. So, I mean, you have to keep putting out good quality stuff. And, so over the years, Megadeth.com, which that really, well, actually, technically, the first was Megadeth Arizona. That was a game-changing website. We were the first band ever to have a website. Really? Capitol Records built it for us. And that was really a nice forward. And we've always been a forward-thinking band with all of our technology, making records, everything. But that really turned the corner for us, and then we got Megadeth.com and really self-contained our own internet presence and everything, and now to watch the world change with my kids are millennials, they're 19 and 22, So then a lot of our fans now, we've got young fans, we've got teenagers again. I mean, we've kind of got in 35 years of Megadeth, we have at least. We're really in our fourth generation because about every 10 years a new cycle changes over. So in our 35th year, we're technically kind of in our fourth decade of the band now. So
grandparents and babies are coming out.
yeah. So it's cool to see that the way not only metal has. I mean, metal's kind of stayed pretty true. It's obviously morphed out into a lot of different kind of little subgenres. But the way technology has changed the world, and I mean, I love coming to Europe. I really want my kids to come over here and experience it for not just for like a week, but to come over here and hang for a summer, and really experience it, because I think there's just a lot of things that that Europe has to offer to the world. I mean, Europe's been here for how many years? A long time. So it's going through a lot of cycles, and I love that. I love world history.
But you actually got some time to watch the countries when you're here, or is it just hotels and venues?
Well, yesterday I rented a bike and rode around, which was pretty fun. I got to be, out of all the times I've been here, I've never rented a bike and just gone. I didn't really even know you could, for whatever reason, because we just come in, hit the hotel, rest, back out to the gig and go. But we had a whole day off yesterday, so we went and just hung out, rented a bike, and rode around. And that was, I like doing those things. We had a day off yesterday, so it's nice to be able to really kind of get down into the lifestyle of the city.
Exactly.
It's pretty cool.
And we love to ride our bikes here. And it's like the hottest summer in like 10 years. So
it's unbelievable. Yeah. It's really cool. I like it. I mean, I guess Amsterdam is probably another city where you ride bikes,
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I love all that. And it's, again, a lot of the Eastern European countries they're just so developed now.
Yeah.
I remember we're going into Katowice this week. We're going over to the Czech Republic tonight after the show. So we're kind of hitting, Austria. We're hitting a bunch of that area. And to see, I remember playing Katowice on the Cryptic Writings tour. In fact, I remember because Bruce Dickinson and Adrian Smith had left Iron Maiden, and they were playing before us. They were supporting us that year. And
seriously?
on that show. And I remember going to Katowice, and it was kind of primitive, and the roads were rough. So this would have been late 90s, mid-late 90s. And
I've never been there, but it seems so.
Yeah, and now it's all modernized. And it's, feels like Denmark.
Yeah, exactly. But like back on track about just the metal talking, Rust in Peace is coming up with an anniversary. You got any plans to celebrate that?
Rust in Peace does? I don't know, which anniversary is it? Is it 25 years now or something?
It's going to be 30 years.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
all right. You're keeping better track than I am. The one we're focusing on, so this year we have 35 years of Megadeth. Yeah. And every month we're celebrating an album. We've got 15 studio albums, so a couple have doubled up. Yeah. And a lot of records release, either later in the year or right at the beginning of the year, so we kind of spread them out a little bit. But the big one this month is the reissue of Killing Is My Business, which is a full remix, remaster, the final kill, we're calling it, because we hopefully won't keep re-releasing it again, or remixing it rather. But it sounds really good. Mark Lewis did an excellent job mixing it. And
but was it necessary to do that, or was it just
to
give a treat?
No, not at all. It was definitely necessary. I mean, Dave and Bill Kennedy went in and worked on it when we were working on The World Needs a Hero, and remixed it and radically improved it from where it was. And but we just decided there were two albums that always bothered us in our catalog, which was the mix on So Far So Good So What, which we felt was just too slick, kind of too polished, because it was recorded pretty raw, it was pretty dry. But then also Killing Is My Business, which we just didn't have any money. I mean, it was a little independent label, and we didn't have any money. It was our first time in the studio with the band, and that was kind of that maiden voyage. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like some records, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. As I understood, they took a long time to put that together. They had major label money. They had real A&R. They had a lot of people guiding. Yeah, exactly. We didn't have that. We had just a tiny little label. They handed us some money and go make a record and give us the master. So I mean, we were kind of left to our own devices, and we had grand ideas, but we just didn't have enough, capital and resources to get there. Until we went to Capitol, and then we finally properly capitalized.
But can you actually, on a little side note, what bass riff in Megadeth are you most proud of?
Look, I always like Dawn Patrol, just because that's something I came up with. But, another one I like is Go to Hell. That's one that I love that. In fact, I play it in the jam room all the time. So there's those. And then there's other ones like Ashes in Your Mouth, 99 Ways to Die. There's some of these tunes. That one's, and even Angry Again. It's got which, the bass kind of just plays the guitar part, but it's really, it's just a really cool movement of the so, and then just kind of puts a nice kind of floor under it, just kind of riding the part, so those are some of my favorites, and Five Magic's probably being my all-time favorite. Yeah.
About your book, I really love it. By the way, is there a follow-up coming up?
There is, yeah. I'm doing one. We're tentatively calling it More Life with Death.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I say tentative because that is the title we want, but as you go to publishers and, you ultimately get it out, it's kind of like making a record. I mean, Combat initially wanted to call the Peace Cells album, they wanted to call it Wake Up Dead. Like, they were bent on it. Like, no, we need to call it Wake Up Dead because it's more metal. We're like, are you kidding us? It's like, Peace Cells is the obvious hit. It's a clever lyric, but they were thinking with this metal mindset, and we were thinking with a more, broader kind of appeal, and it's funny. I listen to a lot of music, especially when I'm flying, in between shows, and Megadeth, as for as heavy as it can be, where it's almost like we're not really a metal band. We're because there's so much other musical complexities that are going on in there. The earlier stuff with Gar and Chris. Those guys were fusion guys. I had played in jazz band and some of that stuff growing up as a kid, so I kind of was familiar with what they were doing. So it kind of made a nice fit in the rhythm section. Dave, as much as he writes these just incredible riffs, he always says, we grew up, his sisters listened to Motown. He's got, the musical stuff that he kind of references is, David Bowie, this kind of stuff. It's not metal. So it's funny, Megadeth, being this metal band, has a really wide palette of musical information in it, and that, so we get back to the second album. We're like, no, we're not calling it Wake Up Dead. Great song, lead-off song, but that's not going to be the title of this. And I mean, that kind of was just sort of our ongoing wars we had with Combat over the years in the beginning, But back to the book, I mean,
exactly. What is the
our More Life with Death, because that's kind of what it is. It's since since kind of 2010, the Big Four.
Yeah.
A lot has happened since I wrote that book, and this book is initially kind of a broad stroke of my life. A little bit of my upbringing, my moving to Hollywood. We start Megadeth, and then we kind of move into, kind of quickly through that, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
And then, I obviously, I think the style of those books, at least at the time when I wrote that, was kind of like the VH1 Behind the Music special, it's sort of like, you start, then you have the success, then everyone's on drugs, and then everybody crashes and burns, and then you get clean, and it has a happy ending. I mean, I think sometimes books, it has to have this sort of tension.
Yeah.
And my book is a little bit of that. And I'm proud of that, though. I mean, in 1990, I got cleaned up, and that was a really hard corner to turn. Most people don't get, it's a hard one to turn, and I don't fault anybody for it, because I know how hard it is, to come out of that and to get clean, and for my case, kind of be restored back to this kind of this youthful, kind of fun kid that I was when I grew up on the farm in Minnesota, who just loved playing the bass, to kind of be reset back to that guy, and then we record Rest in Peace, and
you got to live the dream.
Yeah, and really got to live the dream, because I was kind of mucking the dream up, being by partying and stuff, and that's what we do. I mean, it's rock and roll. It's kind of around our community, and back in that day of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, you kind of fall into it. And I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed a lot of it. It was a lot. Out of the 10 years I did it, the first 7 or 8 were certainly a lot of fun, and then the last couple kind of was like, when it's hard to leave home because you're strung out on drugs and you can't travel. Okay, that's a problem. So for me, my getting cleaned up was I needed to, obviously, for self-preservation, but also because it was getting in the way of my love of music and playing, and getting in the way of what our goals were and what we wanted to accomplish with the band. So it was like, all right, one of them is going to go, the band or the drugs. Drugs got to go. So that's the long and the short of kind of that part of that book.
Great.